Welcome to the Voice of Men 360. We would like to remind you that remind you that Voice of Men 360 360's mission is always to deliver in good faith towards peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episodes are those of speakers and do not represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness of the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require such type of assistance, we recommend that you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have any questions, please contact us at info at voice of men 360 info at voiceofmen360.org. Now that we got the disclaimer out of the way, excited to start today's show. I'm Arif Gilany, the vice president of Voice of Men 360. Again, as we go through our days, overcoming challenges, even to put this show on is a challenge on weekly basis. We try to bring you stories that are going to inspire you, help you, and bring you awareness. Today I'm excited to have a very special guest. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind you that Voice of Men 360 is a nonprofit organization out of Toronto, Canada. Group of people who care about other people, who want to bring out the stories to help you out, to bring awareness, to help you, to guide you based on years of education and experience in real life. So today I'm really excited to have Dr. Camille Cummings all the way from Trinidad and Tobago today to talk about her topic of sociologist. So welcome, Dr. Camille. Dr. Camille, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute, right? Good
Oh,
morning.
okay, I think now, okay, Sivam is on mute. Yes, good morning, morning. How you doing? Today is looks like a peaceful scene behind your window, but earlier I saw storms that are happening down there, or what's happening
Yes,
down?
we had some bad weather this morning, but it's calm. Actually, the scenery behind me, it's a pic I took personally in Great Britain, but at the Staunton Estate because I love nature.
Beautiful, lovely. Well, glad to have you here today. So let's talk about you. Who is Dr. Camille? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself. This is a very complicated question. Who am I?
Yeah.
I've written a book about this whole topic, and I'm excited to explore stories. So tell you about yourself, please.
Okay. First of all, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Sivam, Arif, and I usually tune into the other programs you'll host as well, so I'm honored to be here. I would start off with my name. My name is Camille Tamara Cummings. That's my full name. And I would say I love names because when I explain, and as Iris said, it's a complicated question to ask anyone, who am I? But my first name, Camille, comes from Latin and it means helper to the priest. I would disclose that I'm also Roman Catholic, so I believe the name was fitting when it was given to me, right? Also, Tamara is Arabic and Hebrew origin, right? As well as it means generosity and humanitarian. And I really love my names because I think I was blessed to have them because I do believe that we all have a humanitarian purpose on earth. And I'm using my profession and my title, my doctorate, to do work that helps humanity and not just purely academics. So I'd start
Okay,
with that.
okay. Let me stop you right there. This is a very interesting topic. We all are really explore more than just we're here to have some food on the table, reproduce through means of reproduction, and having a graveyard somewhere with our name on it. There's more to this story, is there?
Yes. Because when I did a PhD, and I'll tell you, and I guess anyone would tell you, doing a PhD is the most arduous, long. There's so many adjectives I can use. And for me, it was an experience that was tumultuous. You had the ups, you had the downs, you had the good, you had the bad, you had challenges, you had things you overcame in a record time, and then you had things that you really had to face. And I would say I did sociology because I love sociology. Now, I'll tell you, my background initially was languages, and I love my
Oh,
Spanish, French, and German, and I always try to practice. But I switched to sociology because I felt I really liked methodology, I liked research, and I fell in love with it as an elective. And then I decided to do the undergrad and the postgrad in it. And I think
well,
for me, sociology helps you to do so much because it helps you to understand not just human behavior, but society from a systematic approach.
wow, wow. What a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and information do we have here today. Dr. Cummings, Tamara. Now, I was actually going to call you Tamara, then I saw on the screen and I changed it, so I tried to be adaptive, but beautiful name. Starting from there with the name calling, very deep meaning into. My name is Arif, and this is the story of my own name story. In Arabic, it means the old wise man in the village who people would go for advice, not the powerful, just the wise guy with a beard, perhaps a mere spiritual person. And I try to live up to that. Again, if we just picked up from our name and live up to religion, same way. It's not what religion is. Is it, are we living up to our religion, really, truly? Dr. Cummings, now tell us about sociology. What is sociology?
Well, sociology in essence is the study of society, but it
Mhm.
uses a more systematic and scientific approach thanks to people like Durkheim and Weber. But I like to go back all the way to C. Wright Mills because we have to first understand something called the sociological imagination. So students tend to learn about this concept of the sociological imagination, which Arif would do or help them to understand certain things. So first of all, things like the interconnection between individuals' behavioral patterns and the larger social forces. We're not just human beings on this planet. We are impacted by larger social forces around us. For example, changes in the economy actually impact on our behavioral patterns. And then also this sociological imagination that C. Wright Mills talked about helps us to understand, well, identify and understand the system of generated behavior of human beings. Why do human beings behave the way they do? And of course, identifying the social forces which are shaping individuals' behaviors. When we look at individual behavior, what are those social forces that are constantly shaping and changing our behavior and perspective? But I would say sociology is a very dynamic and complex field, and it helps us to look so much at things, our experiences, our relationship between things like, history, how we connect, the connection we have with ourselves and society. Um, he looked at things like personal troubles in the context of social structure, right? And which we look at things like public issues. So, for example, unemployment is a trending contemporary public issue. Many people are out of work due to the economic crisis. So, then, in other words, when people are out of work, what are the individual characteristics that we can look at to explain why they do not have a job, right? And also, unemployment is a property of the system of, let's say, opportunities or jobs. Are the government not providing enough opportunities or jobs? What is happening here? So that's just some of the examples that we can give.
So, so you deal with a lot of statistics based on human behavior. Am I correct
Yes,
assuming
yes,
that?
yes, because it is the
And looking
scientific.
at society as a globalization has impacted our behavior. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, definitely.
To what extent is right now this right here is an addiction in here in the, well, I was in Iran just about 5 6 months ago. Even the shepherds on the top of the mountains would depend on a phone.
Right.
Does this change our behavior in any way, like on our health, on our well-being, on our purpose, going back to earlier what you said, that we're not just here you know to live through this, we're here to make an impact.
Right. And the thing about it is, as you speak about earlier, I said about social forces, and that's because we're looking at invisible social forces. And you mentioned when you went to Iran what you observed. So, what are these things that are continually shaping our behavior? Technology is continuously shaping our behavior. We are looking at changes in cultural norms because of technology. And I like the word you use in terms of it's a new addiction, and because of globalization, which brought people together, it also influenced behavior through the spread of Western ideas, for example, to other populations, right? And this changes behavior. People's consumption patterns have changed. I have to agree with you, Arif. Everywhere I go, including myself, people have a phone. So prior to all this social media and technology, you went to the doctor's office and you were able to engage in actual verbal conversation. Now everyone's head is down in the phone because they're reading something, they're on Instagram, they're checking their live feeds. So it definitely has changed behavior in an immense way.
In your opinion, how does somebody like me find purpose? You said we're here for something to do. Now you found your purpose through a really beautiful, deep study of human behavior, and you are getting your voice out there here. I'm really proud today to have you. This is an honor, and I want to get the most out of this time we have together here. Um, so tell us about earlier childhood. How did you find your passion? Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about earlier, if I may.
Well, I grew up in I would say a stringent household that was, managed in a way that, you conform to societal norms and behavioral and gendered expectations of
Open,
what is
open-minded,
required. I would not say
guardians, parents.
open-minded. I would not say open-minded, but I would say, manage within a stringent system. So, you're expected to do good in school, you're expected to behave a certain way, you're expected to conform to societal norms. But I always had a passion for writing. I love to write, and I used to like to write poetry. I think poetry is not just art, it's a way of expression. And I always try to write my ideas down because it was a way of expressing how I felt, what I observed, what I saw.
Absolutely beautifully said. And I talked to this about this in my book, The Ministry of Miracles. And um, why do we refuge to poetry? Sometimes we hurt so deeply, or we feel so desperately. We want to see if anybody else ever felt this way before. But what really unites us all, makes us all, is humanity. We all hurt the same way. We feel pain. Even animals feel the same pain the same way. So we have a lot of common grounds to work on to extract ideas from, let's say, you to bring to me to shape my life. Is that possibility?
Yes, the thing about it is it's how we shape our lives and ideas through expression. And I remember there was a sociologist, I think M.R. Hill in 2006, looked at sociology and poetry and referred to poetry as a sociological reality. So poetry or written expression or expressing ideas do have an institutional location within society. I mean, in our schools, we learn to write, not so we learn to write from as far back as preschool. So it does, poetry plays a part in things like interaction and how we conceive and explain what we see.
Um, Let me ask you a question, doctor. This is really important question to me. Now, if I'm at the lowest point in my life, if I'm really desperate, a lot of people go through depression, mental illnesses here
Mhm.
because of the challenges of bringing mental, physical, financial challenges right now.
Yes.
Would it be a good advice? Would you advise them to just pick up a pen and paper and write how they feel? It would give them an empty canvas to work on. Would you?
Well, Arif, to answer your question, there are two things that I can say there now. Problems are complex and they vary from individual to individual. So, journaling is one aspect. It does not negate the fact that they may need therapy or other types of psychosocial support. But one thing I always feel that helps victims, especially domestic violence victims, which is one of my major research areas, is that you give them an avenue, as you say, a blank canvas to really express how they feel. What are they feeling? Why are they feeling the way they do? And really acknowledging the emotions in the context that they're experiencing. So that's part of it. It's not the only thing, because I do believe that analyzing and addressing situations require a holistic approach.
Absolutely. Well, it's just a personal way of really my own way of um, getting my desperation out and then feeling a little bit about better about myself. So other ideas might come out. I might think about something that I want now that I've gotten rid of this pain inside of me and then focus my direction in that way. So, wow, what a great topic. It's so great to have you here. Let me just address this. Voice of Men 360 is a non-profit organization out of Toronto, Canada. We bring you voices like Dr. Tamara here, who is dedicated her life to researching human behavior and bringing you some of the advice that we can all use. I'm learning so much, and pen and paper, believe me, will change your life if you put ideas down and apply them to your own life. So Voice of Men 360 has a bunch of programs that come up weekly and usually at 10 a.m. Um, on Sundays, we have Open Up that today we're talking about the issues that we all as a society face with Dr. Tamara from Trinidad and Tobago. We have a Vili, which is a Tamil live talk show Sundays at 8 a.m. And so today, my friend Sivam has finished that show and he's with us right here directing from behind the scenes. A monthly webinars we have every Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. again. We'll bring you experts, organizations to discuss particular issues that we all might be facing together as a society, and monthly special shows. This is unspoken to your stories that will encourage you, that will give you a little bit of a like a lighthouse to tell you that there is hope, that there is tell you that there is a way out of the desperate situations that we all face together. So with that, thank you, Dr. Tamar. Let's talk about some of the issues that are right now you are facing. Are you working? Where are you working right now? Tell us about academics. Are you working with universities or
Um,
you're
Not right
teaching?
now. It's summer, so not right now. But I've continued working on my writing and publishing, because it is expected that once you have a PhD, you should not just stop there. You should be um, publishing and contributing to the scientific literature. So I'm working on some other chapters. I recently published a chapter looking at the a sociological perspective of um, let me see. Right. It's a sociological perspective of men's underreporting of domestic violence and a lack of appropriate interventions in the Caribbean. So that was one of my recent publications. As you'd know, in terms of what I expressed to you in my bio, is that I've expanded my research agenda, because my PhD thesis was in domestic violence as well as my master's thesis. And now I'm looking at things like human trafficking, child abuse, men as victims of domestic violence, mental health, and even workplace abuse. So when I did this chapter, I really wanted to explore the literature and the fact that domestic violence can be perpetuated and experienced by any group. But when you look at the gender comparison, you find that women's experience of domestic violence as victims is considerably more documented than men's experience. So, what I
Mm,
aimed to do in the article was to really discuss the literature and provide a sociological perspective on why men fail to report domestic violence. If you look at the statistics, Arif, in different studies, you would see that it doesn't mean that men aren't victims, it's just there's a lot of underreporting. So, the statistics do not really show the true nature. And I looked at the regional and international literature on male domestic violence victims, and I did pick up the disparities and limitations of the data, and that's what I wanted to do, highlight it and bring clarity and understanding the phenomenon.
wow, wow, that's great. Where do we subscribe? Where do I find you? I want to get your monthly publication. I want to know what Dr. Tamara is studying or what she's working. Where do I find you? This is a early question because I was gonna ask in the end, but right now it's fitting because this is so important to all of us.
Well, to be honest, Arif, I can send you the link. Well, the book is on Amazon for purchase. It's an edited book. It's not edited by me. They're different chapters by different persons. But I would say right now I'm working on my social media presence. I did not have the time before to do it, but I do understand that you need the Instagram. I have an Instagram page, but I need to update it more with what I'm doing. So definitely when I organize,
Very
I would send you the link.
um that's very important point you brought up, and I want to bring it up again. How important social media. I have been part of social media for a long time and been hacked and changed couple of accounts and things like this. But again, it's a very direct way of reaching people. Right now, people might be sitting on and watching CNN. Here might be watching some other programs. This really changes the game, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Now
Right
there are
now,
some
we have
pitfalls
met.
to it. Mhm.
We bring these programs through all of these platforms. Why? Because we're all human beings. If I can have an interview with Dr. Cummings right here, what's the difference between this program and the one that they're watching on TV? This is more educational. This is more personal. This is beautiful, isn't it? Technology has changed our
It
behavior
has.
in some.
It has. It has. You get things in real
Domestic
time.
violence.
Mhm.
Again, I apologize. Go ahead. But we're going to talk about domestic violence before we end the program. I want to get a little bit deeper in that.
No, that's okay, Arif. I was just saying the beauty of it, so that was just to extend your point that you get things in real time and you have more access to things. So prior to the pandemic, there wasn't much use of Zoom and StreamYard and all these platforms, but now it's really connecting people at an immense speed.
Absolutely. Let's talk about domestic violence. You talked about again. I don't know about Trinidad and Tobago, the social system that's set up here, but there are a charter of rights here in Canada. As everybody's got the rights and freedoms. Again, when it comes to home, again, there's a hierarchy of who's right, who's wrong, and what's the recording of all of this data. And I agree with you that the violence against women is very magnifiedly recorded versus against men and maybe even young adults. So, what's the situation in Trinidad? Are you studying local data also, or just international or global? What are you studying right now?
Actually, I'm studying both, but I do feel that locally we have to do more in terms of research. We have to generate the data because without the data, we cannot really make informed policy decisions or speak to what really is happening with the phenomenon. So far, in terms of the historical data or data that goes back, let's say 5 years, you find more statistics pointing to women as victims, but it doesn't mean that men are victims. Because, for example, I read a UNODC report in 2013 that looked at Grenada, which is also in the Caribbean, and they had a 12% of men who were killed as a result of domestic violence. In Trinidad and Tobago, the figure was a lot lower, 4% of men. When you look at the newspapers, you do see that men are victims and men are coming out now, but previously men did not come out because of the cultural norms surrounding masculinity. If a man reports that he has been hit by his wife or that he has been threatened, he's not taken seriously. So that does impact on the data recorded for men as victims.
Wow. Again, these stories really make an impact. Right now, you're here to telling men that they have a chance. If I was just sitting there desperately and watching this program, I wanted to know, I wanted to talk to you, I wanted to reach out to you, I wanted to maybe even follow you on social media. And so the platforms are available for all of us to really join forces to make an impact. And domestic violence and things like this really bring human emotional down. Now this is a true story that I had. I'm also my kids are raised mixed race. My wife was from Guyana, so I know the stories of all of the interactional, interracial, all of these things. But thank God we're in Canada, and there are very standard procedures that you can follow to maintain a peaceful relationship, even if you are not together any longer. And most of that starts from there. So, tell us about your experience. Are you dealing with any recent real life people? You coaching them, or how do you deal with these issues on real life, or you're more into research?
I'm more into research for now. I would like to get more into the advocacy
Hands on.
side, but the hands-on, because I'm not a certified counselor, and I do believe that when working with domestic violence victims, you must be a certified counselor or a board certified clinician. So I only venture into the realm that I am qualified to do. But I do observe what's happening in the services that people are getting or not getting. So, but I've known of persons personally who have experience. I look at the media all the time, so I am aware of what's going on with victims, both men and women.
Wonderful. Now, do you work with the government at all? Are you in connection with policymakers, or who are you reaching out with all this valuable information?
Well, I would say honestly, Arif, I do attend what is advertised so that I am aware of what's happening uh, policy wise, research wise. But I would have to admit more needs to be done. Sometimes you do try to link and network with persons, but you know, human behavior, people tend to be cagey or they think that you're trespassing on their turf. So you have to tread carefully. But I do get out there and try to see what's going on different levels, who is doing what the discourse is about. But I'm more interested in post discourse. So it's all well and good to have all these webinars, Arif, and talk and present ideas, but I'm always interested in what next.
Mm. So that's really where coaching comes in also. I'm a coach. I've been coaching people throughout my career, my life. You can have change somebody's behavior, but by just magic. It's a behavioral change. It's patterns in our brain. It's neuroplasticity. There's a lot of behavioral change, and once we feel pressured, really, this is something that I read a long time ago, and I will never forgot. I say if you squeeze a orange, orange juice will come out. If you squeeze a human being, whatever's really truly inside of them will come out. When the pressure's on, we get violent, we get into things like this. But understanding human behavior and emotions really does make us relax, does it?
Yeah.
Does it make us understand this data impacts our personal behavior? Has it changed your behavior, understanding what's going on behind the scenes of?
Well, it definitely makes me aware and more empowered to do something because, as I said, I'm interested in the doing, what's next. I would tell you, though, that I recently joined the AVA. I don't know if you ever heard of AVA Health, Academy of Violence and Abuse. It is an American organization. I recently joined them as an active member.
Mm.
So you can always look them up on it's Academy on Violence and Abuse. So you can look them up www.avahealth.org. So I recently joined them as well as the Junction Network. I don't know if you're familiar with Joan from the Junction Network. So those are the two international agencies I'm more linked with now and looking at what they're doing in their countries and on a global scale. So it is definitely being aware helps me to feel empowered to do something.
Wonderful. Wow, what a great, empowering story, knowledge, information, wisdom. This is really not the end. And do have my own personal channels that I take out to social media. I'll be glad to have you there again to get these voices out. It's connectivity. It's really connecting one person to another, and you don't know what happens. Over the last year, I have made global connections in UK, in Turkey, Istanbul, Iraq, around the world. Really, it's amazing. It's just like in the streets. You meet somebody, you connect with them, you exchange ideas, then suddenly you can't live without each other, or you must stay connected. Is that part of human behavior?
It
New
is, and sociology
technology.
teaches you that. Yes, but sociology teaches you connectivity and interaction. And as you say, one connecting the other, I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Jerome Tiloxing. He was the person that connected me to all of this. He's working in the area of men and boys specifically. He works at the history department at the university. And one day I reached out to him because, and I did attend some things that he had, and I was like, wow, you're doing so much, and I'm interested. And then that's how it came. He connected me to Sivam. I was connected to June. I presented at an event that June had as well, and it just goes better from there. It gets better and better from there.
Wow, wow, wonderful. Well, we're planning to have some events here through the Voice of Men 360 in the future, so we'll be glad to even have you as an international researcher. You're really an asset. You're not a local person in Trinidad sitting down doing your research, because imagine how many people in the world dedicate the time that you do to studying this information, this what do you study? Tell me, what is it? Really data, human behavior? You're psychologist. You can you have it all under umbrella of sociologists.
Well, psychology is not sociology.
Hmm.
Let me correct you one time. It's a
Yes,
different discipline, but people do conflate it because I would say
absolutely. I want to learn. Tell us the difference.
I would say that sociology is the grand narrative, and that's me being biased here, and a lot of other disciplines borrowed from classic sociological concepts. But I will say sociology helps you to study even mental health because my specialization is sociology of health. And I am looking at mental health not as just biomedical, but as a social model of health. We can't just look at health or mental health as biological or neurological entities. People experience health, people engage in health behavior and health promotion and learning, and all of that is connected to wider social processes. So, for example, if I am a victim of domestic violence, well, I'm just using me as example, I'm not, but let's say if I'm a victim of domestic violence, so you're a victim of domestic violence, and you are experiencing all these psychological issues, physiological issues. Yes, you go to your doctor, you go to your psychiatrist, you see your psychologist. But here's the thing, it's more than that. What social support are you getting? Who do you have to lean on? Do you have family members? Do you have friends? Do you have support groups? Do you have Voice of Men 360? Do you have Antoine Thompson's coaching group? What other aspects of the healing and therapy are needed that are way beyond biomedical? Because the doctor is going to prescribe you, let's say, sedatives or anti anxiety medication, and that's good. But then you need other types of cognitive behavior therapy to really help you get through that healing process. And that's why I feel that healthcare cannot just be studied biomedically. There must be psychological approaches to it as well.
Absolutely, and I'm so proud of my friend Sivam, who's really made this move to create this platform, because we need more. Health is not in the bottle, in the pill bottle. Health is more of a fresh air, meaningful conversations, wholesome foods, and tell us a little bit about the impact of this personal health on personal health. It's very important, isn't it, doctor?
It is. It is because health behavior is learned behavior, but it's influenced by so many different things, uh, economics, culture. Things like cultural beliefs also impact on people's health seeking behavior. So, for example, a domestic violence victim who has been beaten severely, you have to understand the culture that they may come from. They may have learned that it's better to stay quiet and not be real with the physician. So if they're being, because I did my master's study on healthcare response to female domestic violence victims, and one of the things that came out in the data were that the physician didn't even ask anything; they treated the injuries, and the victim themselves were sort of apprehensive to say, "Well, you know what? I lied. The closet didn't fall on me. I was hit by my husband, and that's why I have these injuries." So the biomedical approach says, well, okay, we'll treat the lacerations and you go home. But the social model of healthcare says, let's explore more of what happened. And in people's health seeking behavior, um, they learn that, okay, if I want help, I have to say more, but I know it's a complex thing. You can't expect a victim to just say what really happened if they're living in fear. So there are a lot of behavioral things that are going on here that we don't really understand. And we cannot just explain purely from biomedical approaches.
Most of the solutions that we have are, would you say, like a band-aid solution and you're looking more into root cause of things?
Yes, I think approaches. I mean, and I'm saying it in a generic way because I don't want to point fingers. I respect all disciplines, but I would say a lot of times people tend to have bandage approaches to things, even outside of biomedicine. But getting down to the root cause of things causes us to be uncomfortable because then in our exploration of the root cause, we're exposed to some serious reality that we don't want to face.
Mm. Would you say, going back to the question we began this, who am I, is a very complex question? How would you answer it now? Who am I? Who is Dr. Tamara?
Well, Dr. Camille Cummings is a person who's looking to really make an impact in the field, who is a complex being just like everyone else, who's not perfect and who's not afraid or ashamed to say, listen, I am not a perfect being. I am just like everyone else, but I am unique in my own way because that's the other thing that I don't do. I don't compare myself to other people. And I'm really, really adamant about the whole idea of socializing children, that you give them unique identities rather than comparing them to other children. And that's a whole realm of something that I'm exploring in terms of child abuse and how it impacts on adulthood.
If I may add there, one of the bad things about social media is that we have access to people who previously we didn't have a point of comparison. I might look at somebody, I might look at Brad Pitt on my phone and say, man, why not me? And I feel depressed. Why am I not living that lifestyle of whatever? Is that having a negative effect on us all? Like, I'm
Yes,
aware of this. It does change people. People are addicted to this phone because it's showing them um, beyond the life that they're living. They take them out of this reality and put it in that, like a bubble of cloud. Is it?
yes. Well, I think with social media, and you have to look at the way things are presented on social media as opposed to real life. I really like the point you made. You said, people have access to people now as compared to before, where you didn't know what was going on in someone's life until they actually told you, or you saw them on the street driving a nice fancy car, but you could only assume. But now you go on Instagram, and everybody has 104 pictures of their vacations, their dress, their wardrobe, and their lifestyle, and sometimes may not really be true. It may not really be realistic.
Yes, absolutely. Again, being realistic is really social media has given us this platform to be realistic with one another and really extract some valuable information here on our behaviors. It's a complex world. It's a wild, wild world out there, like they says, from social government to our personal lives is finding our mission. What is Dr. Cummings' mission? Again, I wanted to make sure everybody heard it. This is really powerful woman who's doing her time to do the research to bring us this valuable information. I would love to have you on further programs and really to dig deeper into some specific. What is your purpose? What is your mission? And any closing thoughts on today's program?
Well, going back to my middle name, which is means generosity and humanitarian, I think my purpose is humanitarian and to really make a difference where I can. And if it means being on um, events like this hosted by Voice of Men 360 or Junction Network or you or anyone else, then this is the path that I think is taking me there to really make a humanitarian impact.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Again, with this program, our aim is to bring out expert advice. And with I say, I have learned a lot today, and I'm going to watch this and listen to the podcast again. Are we trying to make an impact in the lives of as many people? And people from Canada are very unique. They come from all over the world. I have from a lot of friends from Trinidad and Tobago to all over the world. So a lot of people are going to get exposed to this information. If I would ask you a question, um, what would be on daily basis? What could we do? The action part again. We provide coaching. Like, I have an action plan in the morning, how many things I want to do on a any given daily basis. What is our tendency to do and what we need to do? What do we need to do right now, doctor? What's the next steps?
But what we need to do, and I would say on a daily basis, is examine our thoughts. And that's why I say journaling is important. If you want, you write it down. Today, what do I need to focus on? What is the plan for today? Do I do research? Do I write down some thoughts? Do I make an action plan that I need to do for the next week? So every day begins, at least for me, I try to plan my day and journal my thoughts and look at, some actionable items. What can I do today? Who do I need to reach out to? What do I need to read? So, and as you say, we are always using the word complex. So things are not static. We can have a plan, but we don't always stick to that rigid plan
Mhm.
because things, fluctuate. And that's life and that's human nature. But definitely, you begin the day by thinking, okay, what is going to be significant about this day and how do I make it significant?
Wow, what a great conclusion to this. How can I make today significant? Well, you made today significant for the Voice of Men 360 by being here with us. And I want to thank you again. And I will connect with you so we can have further discussions about some specific topics. Because women, again, I come from a Muslim culture. There are difference in cultural, in religious, in behaviors, and all of this. And some are really desperate to be heard, to have a familiar voice like yours to answer their questions. So hopefully we will have a chance to go deeper into all of this.
Yes, definitely. Because the discourse doesn't stop here. As I said, you constantly have to keep having interaction and discussing with people. And that's how you generate ideas.
Again, some of those ideas have been recorded in your book. What's the title of the book? As I wanted to make sure that everybody gets that link again, and on Amazon, available on Amazon.
Yes, let me just look up the exact let me just look up the exact book so I can
D-
tell you because it's edited by two editors, which I'll give you the name.
this book is on human behavior. What is the main focus of your book? Tell me a little bit about. Give us a little intro, 30-second
Okay,
intro of your
so
book.
it's okay, so I'm just clicking on it. You have to forgive me because the weather is making things a little.
Not a problem, but we're gonna make
So
sure
it's
that
it's
everybody has
domestic
the links.
violence. Pardon?
Domestic violence. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's I don't know if I can post it in the StreamYard chat. Um, okay, so I probably
Hopefully,
can't
our
because
wonderful president here can do it later on. But go ahead, just tell us about the links because we'd like to find you and see what the book is
so
about, please.
it's domestic violence in the Anglophone Caribbean consequences and practices. It's edited by Professor Anne-Marie Bissessa and Dr. Camille Cummings. It explores the understanding and meaning of domestic violence in the Caribbean, and it includes contributions from a diverse background as well as it looks in detail at who are the victims of domestic violence in the Caribbean. So, and then if you click on the link, you would see my chapters there as well, a sociological perspective of men's underreporting of domestic violence and the lack of appropriate interventions in the Caribbean. So I'm all the way down on page 135, but I did copy and paste. So let me just see if I can put it here. Right. So Sivan said send it here. So it
Thank you
is a
so
book.
much.
It is a book
That's
you have to purchase because I don't think you would get access to. Um, so I put
wonderful. We have now the link on, yes, the book link on our discussion panel here. And we look forward to having some further discussions and even reading your book right now. It's a very
well, chapter.
uh,
The book is not. I didn't write the entire book. I have a
again, it's a collection of ideas from different places, but your research topic, specific topic, is on in this book as a collection.
yeah.
So it's bigger minds, more minds, actually, ideas that are discussed against solving some of the complex problems that we face. That's what
But
it
I
is,
plan to
really.
do more writing, and one of the things that I'm working on is men's mental health, male victims of domestic violence, and their mental health, and how healthcare treats with that, how they're accessing healthcare, and how are their healthcare needs met. but that's what I'm currently working on.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's been a pleasure to have you today. And here at Voice of Men 360, we do our best. We're human. We, with all the limitations, to reach out, but to bring out some nuggets to really people who can help us understand ourselves better. Dr. Cummings, today it's been a pleasure to have this discussion with you. And we thank you for your time, and we look forward to connecting with you again.
Sure.
Again. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if Sivam is behind the scenes right now. Is there any other this closing comments? But I wanted to thank you all for joining us today at Voice of Men 360. Voice of Men 360 brings you this show on every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With Open Up, bring you expert advice on some of the challenges that we all face on daily basis. We're all human beings. They say rich or poor, everybody's got 24 hours. We all start with one leg at a time to put our pants on. So take your pants and put them on and go and have a great day. Thank you for being with us. I'm Arif Gilany, and I look forward to seeing you on the next program.